rode hard all the way till we drew up before Dr. Livesey's door, and the house was all dark to the front.
Jump down, Jim, and knock if you would.
Hello, can I help you?
Is Dr. Livesey in?
No, he came home this afternoon, but he's gone up to the hall to dine with the squire.
So, to the hall, boys.
This time, as the distance was short, I did not mount, but ran with dogger's stirrup leather to the lodge gates, and up the long, leafless, moonlit avenue, to where the white line of the hall buildings looked on either hand on great old gardens.
Can I help you?
We're here to see the squire.
Right this way. Mr. Dance to see you, sir.
Ah, come in, Mr. Dance.
I had never seen the squire so near at hand. He was a tall man, over 6 feet high, and broad in proportion, and he had a bluff, rough and ready face, all roughened and reddened and lined in his long travels. His eyebrows were very black and moved readily, and this gave him a look of some temper. Not bad, you would say, but quick and high.
Good evening, Dance. Good evening to you, friend Jim. What good wind brings you here?
Squire, I'm here to report an attack on Jim here and his mother's inn. Me and the rest of the officers came as soon as we could, but they'd already gone through the place.
The supervisor stood up straight and stiff and told his story like a lesson. And you should have seen how the two gentlemen leaned forward and looked at each other and forgot to smoke in their surprise and interest. When they heard how my mother went back to the inn, Dr. Livesey fairly slapped his thigh, and the squire nearly broke his long pipe against the grate. At last, Mr. Dance finished the story.
One of the rogues popped a shot off at me, but I'm afraid we lost them once they gained their ship. We then came straight here.
Mr. Dance, you are a very noble fellow, and as for riding down that black, atrocious miscreant, I regard it as an act of virtue, sir, like stamping on a cockroach. This lad Hawkins is a trump, I perceive. Hawkins, will you ring the bell? Mr. Dance must have some ale.
So, Jim, you have that thing they were after?
Here it is, sir.
Squire, when Dance has had his ale, he must, of course, be off His Majesty's service. But I mean to keep Jim Hawkins here to sleep at my house. And with your permission, I propose we should have up the cold pie and let him sup.
As you will, Livesey. Hawkins has earned better than cold pie.
So a big pigeon pie was brought in and put on a side table, and I made a hearty supper, for I was as hungry as a hawk, while Mr. Dance was further complimented, and at last dismissed.
And now, Squire, you have heard of this Flint, I suppose?
Heard of him? Heard of him, you say? He was the bloodthirstiest buccaneer that sailed. Blackbeard was a child to Flint. The Spaniards were so prodigiously afraid of him that I tell you, sir, I was sometimes proud he was an Englishman. I've seen his topsails with these very eyes, off Trinidad, and the cowardly son of a rum puncheon that I sailed with put back, sir, into the port of Spain.
Well, I've heard of him myself, in England. But the point is, he had money?
Money? Have you heard the story? What were these villains after but money? What do they care for but money? For what would they risk their rascal carcasses but money?
That we shall soon know. But you are so confoundedly hot-headed and exclamatory that I cannot get a word in. What I want to know is this. Supposing that I have here some clue as to where Flint's buried his treasure, will that treasure amount to much?
Amount, sir? It will amount to this. If we have the clue you talked about, I fit out a ship in Bristol Dock and take you and Hawkins along, and I'll have that treasure if I search a year.
Very well. Now, if Jim is agreeable, we'll open the packet.
The bundle was sewn together, and the doctor had to get out his instrument case and cut the stitches with his medical scissors. It contained two things, a book and a sealed paper.
Let's see here. Billy Bones is fancy. Mr. W. Bones' mate. No more rum. Not much instruction there.
Balderdash, all of it. It's just random words, here or there.
Now this gets a little more interesting.
What is it? What do you see? Ooh, longitude and latitude. For what?
Mathematics. Well, done additions to boot.
What are they for?
I can't make heads or tails of this.
Oh my. The thing is as clear as noonday. This is the Black-Hearted Hound's account book. These crosses stand for the names of ships or towns that they sank or plundered. The sums are the sums of the scoundrel's share. Off Caracas. Now you see, here was some unhappy vessel boarded off that coast.
Right. And the amounts increase, you see, as he rose in rank.
Look here, a table for reducing French, English, and Spanish money to a common value.
A map!
Of a island. With latitude and longitude.
But look there, in red ink, Book of the treasure here. Livesey, you will give up this wretched practice at once. Tomorrow I start for Bristol. In 3 weeks' time, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 10 days, we'll have the best ship, sir, and the choicest crew in England. Hawkins, you shall come as cabin boy. You'll make a famous cabin boy, Hawkins. You, Livesey, are ship's doctor. I am admiral. We'll take Redruth, Joyce, and Hunter. We'll have favorable winds, a quick passage, and not the least difficulty in finding the spot. And money to eat, to roll in, to play Doc and Drake with ever after.
Trelawney, I'll go with you. And I'll go bail for it. So will Jim. There's only one man I'm afraid of.
And who's that? Name the dog, sir.
You, for you cannot hold your tongue. We are not the only men who know of this paper. These fellows who attacked the inn tonight, the rest who stayed aboard the lugger, and more, are one and all, through thick and thin, bound that they'll get that money. We must none of us go alone till we get to sea. Jim and I shall stick together in the meanwhile. You take Joyce and Hunter when you ride to Bristol, and from the first to last, not one of us must breathe a word what we found.
Livesey, you are always in the right of it. I'll be as silent as the grave.